Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Tom.
Mike.
AM.
In the PM.
Right here at HUDRadio.com, and we're live from the BMW Atlantic City studios. We're in Mount E from BMW Atlantic City off exit 37 of the Parkway. You can find them BMWAtlanticCity.com. Like every Wednesday night, we are brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, your certified public accountant. You can find them. Well, actually, you can give them a ring. 215-369-3300, 215-369-3300 on the web, GibsonMayer.com. I'm Tom Arnone. I'm joined by Michael Matarak. This is our one-year anniversary show. We started this time in last year, same day.
Same day.
Which is
July
crazy.
20th.
Which is nuts, and we're going to have a ton to talk about tonight on our show. We're going to get into Phillies, potential deadline deals, trade partners, prospect promotions, and a ton more. Eagles training camp. We're going to dive deep into that. Talk a lot of Eagles tonight. It's right around the block, and it is go time here in Philadelphia. But our poll question, which is brought to you by the Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs, 703 Black Horse Pike, Glendora, New Jersey, 856-939-2030 on the web, sportsoutletinc.com. And our poll question you can vote on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. The 2016 Eagles will be better with Bradford, winners with Wentz, decent with Daniel. I'm Tom Arnone. That's Michael Matarak. If you didn't know, now you know.
What?
How are you? So this is our 1 year, and we started this time last year talking our top 5 Eagles that needed to perform for the Eagles to be successful last year under one Chip Kelly. And our go-to guy, I believe, was one Mr. DeMarco Murray, who fooled us all, Michael.
Yeah, we came out of the gates a year ago today with a real hot show. The only problem was the headline of the show fell flat on his face.
He was the headline of the damn show, too. Unbelievable. He ruined it. I mean, he ruined it.
Ruiner.
He ruined everything for us. But our poll question, Michael, the 2016 Eagles will be better with Bradford, winners with Wentz, decent with Daniel. You can let us know Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. What do you think?
Well, for me, it's better with Bradford. And for me, it's a couple reasons. Number one, regardless of the fact that he was taken with the second pick in the draft, and I know you're going to lose your mind over this, which is the name of the game, regardless of the fact that he was the second overall pick in the draft, he's the beneficiary of a year with a real shallow pool of quarterbacks. I mean, right now, until he gets on the field and proves something, I mean, he's a jabroni from Paluca State. I love the kid's mental makeup. I love his tools. He's saying the right things. He's doing the right things. Mm-hmm. But realistically, he just happened to be the number 1 or number 2 ranked quarterback in a year where the Birds really needed to draft a quarterback.
Well, that being said, they really needed to draft a quarterback, but they went out and spent $26 million guaranteed on one Mr. Sam Bradford. Now, if you're guaranteeing $26 million, that's not for 1 year. That's probably more of a 2-year deal when you're guaranteeing that kind of money to a quarterback like Sam Bradford. So that being said, you traded a lot to go up and get Carson Wentz.
You absolutely did.
And I'm not sitting here saying he needs to start day one. I don't. It doesn't need to happen.
You just have a problem with the idea of him being redshirted.
Inactive is a bunch of bullshit. Like, I want this guy throwing pregame passes. I want this guy traveling with the football team. I want this guy learning what it takes to be a pro. And if you're going to sit him and be your 3, he's got to be active. I want him to learn how to be a professional. This is your franchise quarterback. And we went back and forth on a book about Aaron Rodgers. And I understand that it helped when Aaron Rodgers, but he also sat behind a legend, a Hall of Famer. And the joke to you was the only thing that's legendary about Sam Bradford is ACL injuries.
It's very true.
I want this kid to learn to be a pro. Now, does he need to start game 1 of the season? Would I like him to? I don't know. I mean, you have a better chance of winning maybe right now with Bradford. So I agree with that. But if Bradford struggles, this is my issue. So Bradford struggles that Jeffrey Lurie doesn't want Carson Wentz over his shoulder to the media, which is us. Well, guess what? When you're guaranteed $26 million, check what's between your legs, Sammy. Right. Because if that's the issue, Michael, if that's the issue and why he's inactive, that's my problem with it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
And I kind of started to get into this with you a little bit on the book, and I wanted to save it. But for me, to me, I mean, if I'm Sam Bradford, and Sam Bradford's not a dumb guy by any means.
No.
He needs to be looking at that $26 million that he's owed over 2 years as some hazard pay. Because right now, if you look at the Eagles' offensive line, Jason Peters is old. And you don't know what version of Jason Peters you're going to get.
I think if the team's good, you're going to get a good Jason Peters.
Okay, fair enough.
That's about it.
You don't know who's lining up next to him yet because there's at least 4 different guys that can play left guard. You're not sure if Kelsey's going to rebound from a mediocre season last year. You've got the new right tackle the new right guard that came from the Texans in the offseason, their big free agent signing. Big number 79, Brandon Brooks.
Yes.
And then you've got Lane Johnson. So to me, you've got 40% of an offensive line. And it's specifically the right-handed quarterback's blind side that you're real unsure about. Even if you think Carson Wentz is the next coming, I don't know that I'm putting him out there. I'm not behind a makeshift offensive line, at least not until you know what you've got.
Well, there's 2 sides of that. There's Derek Carr. Go ahead.
Right. But I will tell you this. My theory on the whole Carson Wentz deal is even though he is, quote-unquote, supposed to be inactive, I guarantee you, grand scheme of things, he is the number 2. And what I mean by that is you don't necessarily want him coming off the bench to finish a game in week 3 or week 4 or whatever if Bradford gets injured. But let's say, it's, week 3, Monday night in Chicago, midway through the second half, Bradford gets hurt and Chase Daniel has to come in and finish off that game. I can tell you right now, week 4, Carson Wentz is your starter. It's not going to be Chase Daniel as your starter.
Well, there's $12 million guaranteed there too. I think once you go inactive, he stays inactive unless there's an injury, like you said. But I still don't think he's starting because if you're saying a kid's inactive week 1, you're telling me and the public that he's not ready to play yet. That's what you're telling us. So to then go bring him out in week 4, that's where you're screwing with a kid's head. Like if he's inactive in red shirt, like you said, then does he stay red shirted?
The whole thing with inactive, a lot of times it's semantics. And it's one of the things that annoys the shit out of me about the NFL. Because you can technically dress your third quarterback. But if you dress your third quarterback, he can't play until the 4th quarter. And if he does play before the 4th quarter, it has to be because of injuries to the first 2 quarterbacks. If you don't want if you don't want to have that, call it positional lockdown with your third quarterback, then you just make him inactive and you use the roster spot on a linebacker to play special teams or something like that.
Well, yeah, they're doing it.
It's one of those stupid things where is he the designated quote unquote third quarterback or is he inactive? And right now, admittedly, Doug Peterson has been saying he's inactive, he's down, whatever you want to call it. Andy used to dress 3 quarterbacks. I don't know why Doug doesn't want to.
I know why Doug doesn't want to. It's very simple. That's the problem I have with the whole thing. That's the problem. Because I'm going to say it on a 1 year. You're pussy of a quarterback who's not a man, right? He's not 40. He's not a man. But no, for real,
man.
This guy wanted out of town because they traded up to number 2.
Right.
And now what you're doing is you're rubbing him down and massaging him and making sure he's okay. And the only way you can do that is by making the number 2 pick of the draft inactive. And my problem with making the number 2 pick of the draft inactive, if you were going to give Sam Bradford $26 million, then don't trade up the number 2. And if you do trade up to number 2, go get yourself a bookend left tackle in Tunsil, or go get me a shutdown defensive back and Jalen Ramsey, right? And forget it. I'll take
that's a whole nother argument because I didn't want the quarterback to begin with.
No, and they went up and they got him, and that's what they went and did, and that's fine. But then to go make him inactive because of your quarterback who's your starter who can't deal with somebody looking over his shoulder, that's my issue with it. That's the whole issue. If this kid doesn't come in and start day 1, I don't have an issue with it. But when you're making him inactive to keep somebody else happy that's not our long-term future, that's my problem because then what are you doing? You're maybe hurting the kid who is your future.
All right, so let me ask you a question.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's a shame.
Let me ask you a question. Let's say
Thank you, though, because it gives something to talk about.
Yeah, well, let's just say training camp starts, and it's funny because I heard our Giddy talking on the dial the other day about how the Eagles' first couple of preseason games at home, typically, the home preseason games, you have a packed house for the first half, and as soon as the starters come out, people start heading for the exits. Now it's going to be just the opposite. Everybody's going to want to see Carson Wentz play, and you're going to have people hanging around for the full 4 quarters. But let's say Carson Wentz plays.
He plays damn good.
Well, no, I'm going the other direction. What happens if he's just clearly overmatched? Does that change your opinion? Do you then think that they're doing the right thing? Because I got to wonder if they don't even want to give him a chance to compete in training camp. Did they see something in the mini camps and the OTAs where they just said, you know what, kid's got a ton of tools, but he's not even close?
I wish that was the case. And I'm sorry to keep going back to it. But
no, it's okay.
My issue is the whole he could – listen, all reports were coming out that he looked better than Bradford at some points. So I'm telling you what it is. It's that simple. They just don't want him looking over his shoulder, so that's the way they're going with it. I think he had a real good training camp. I think he did well in OTAs. I'm sorry. When OTAs, I think he did well. All reports came out that he did well. So it's more to the issue. They just don't want him over Bradford's shoulder. Now the question comes in I want to ask you. Are you going to flip it? Because I was going to ask you the same thing.
If
he comes out and slings in Carson Wentz, right, in preseason, what does that do? Because this fan base is going to want to see him now. They're going to. We're going to overreact to preseason. You know we're going to. I'm the first one to tell you I don't want to. It fooled us last year, but we're going to do it again, Mike.
All right, so let's just say
do it again.
Let's just say, for argument's sake, Carson Wentz comes out and understanding he's going to be playing against 3s and 4s. We'll just
NFL 3s and 4s.
NFL 3s and 4s, though, right? But he's just, like you said, he's slinging it.
He's running. He's making plays.
Running. He's making plays. He's hitting the deep ball. Like, there's just nothing about the kid that you don't like. Then you got to ask, like, hey, Doug, how big is this sack?
Yeah, Doug.
But because, honest to God, like, if he comes out through the first 2 preseason games and he's just slinging it all over the place, and, I mean, you know, he looks like the next Brett Favre or Tom Brady or Joe Montana, come that 3rd preseason game, you may have to move him up and get him some playing time in the first half and see what he can do against a number 1 or a number 2 defense when they're actually going to be playing a little bit.
But that's the question. Do they allow that to happen?
I think you can massage it with Sammy Boy in the preseason to, Sam, we know what you got. We know what you can do. You slung it all over the place last year in the preseason. We're going to give the kid some exposure. Don't take it personally. Sam says, okay, put him out there. Let's see what the kid can do. But now all of a sudden, if the kid comes out and lights it up against 1 and 2s, got yourself a good old-fashioned quarterback controversy.
Listen, you have yourself a good old-fashioned quarterback controversy right now. And that's even with him inactive. It's going to be one. And it's not going to stop until the kid plays. Or the only thing that's going to stop it.
I disagree.
The only thing that's going to stop it.
I think it's completely the opposite.
The only thing stopping it is Sam Bradford slinging.
Okay, well, and that's fine. But I think the whole idea of them saying he's inactive is there is no controversy no matter what. He's inactive until we see him on the field. And the voices get so loud that he can't be inactive. You know what I mean? Like, this is basically Doug's preemptive strike. You know.
Okay, is it this, right? Is it, well, if he's we're gonna say he's inactive week 1, blah blah blah. If he comes out and plays well, they make him uninactive, but at least they don't go the other way with him.
Right.
At least they're not saying he's on, blah blah blah. He's dressing and then he struggles in preseason and they go and make him inactive. They're just doing it from the beginning, maybe not to hurt his confidence.
It's classic reverse psychology. You want to underpromise and overdeliver. So if you tell your fan base and scouts and opponents and everybody that's listening that this kid's going to redshirt for a year, you've set 0 expectations for this kid. You're basically handing him a hall pass and saying, kid, you got 1 year to get your ish together. So anything that this kid does now is a bonus. They're basically just rolling out the red carpet for him and saying, we have no expectations. You're not playing this year. But if you want to play, you go out and prove us wrong.
I like it. I mean, I like it and I don't. I just didn't – I don't know how I felt about Sam Bradford being back here.
No, that's
what hurts.
I get that. But here's the thing. It's not like the NCAA where once you declare the kid a red shirt and – if he plays a certain amount of snaps during the season, he loses that red shirt. It's the NFL, baby. I mean, you could say that somebody's a red shirt, but they ain't losing a year of their contract or their eligibility or anything like that. Circumstances change, and if they got to play him, they're going to play him. For me personally, I want him to win the job. I would love nothing more than to watch Sam Bradford holding a clipboard for the entire season because Carson Wentz is that good. I just don't know that a kid coming out of a 1AA school in a draft that was real shallow on quarterback talent is going to be good enough to win that job year one.
No, and I agree with that. But then why go and trade all that?
Why draft him in the first place?
Why draft him why draft him in the first place?
That's the big question.
Then going with Chase Daniel, don't be as good of a football team and lose games on purpose like a certain team in this city's done, and go get a 1 or a 2 pick on your own. But now you can't do it because you gave that up next year. So now you have to be good to sell the fact that, well, it wasn't a high pick anyway. So, what are our expectations?
But you know what happened? I mean, what happened was the Eagles basically got laughed off the field last December. I mean, this was a team that was in position to win their division, and excuse my French, they shit the bed royally. I mean, royally. And Chip Kelly became a laughingstock. He got the boot. Jeff Lurie became a laughingstock, and he said, well, I'm Jeff Lurie. I'm not going to be a laughingstock. What are we going to do? We're going to go out and we're going to draft us a quarterback. We're going to make a big splash, and we're going to trade all the way up to number 2. We're going to draft us a quarterback. Well, Jeff, you drafted your quarterback. Well, now what are you going to do? Well, we're going to go re-sign Sam and make sure that we got 2 quarterbacks. And then we're going to bring in Doug's boy from Kansas City and make sure we got 3 quarterbacks. And if you got 3, means that you don't have 1.
No, and you don't, and it's going to be interesting to see what it's going to be really interesting to see how Bradford performs and how good this roster is. And I think on the other side what we'll do, I don't think, but on the other side what we'll do is we'll break down this roster a little bit, and we'll reverse back. We'll get in our time machine, and we'll jump back from a year ago today, and we'll give you the top 5 guys that need to perform again. And we're not going to jinx them this year. This year we're going to get them right. And that's what we're going to do this year, is we're going to nail these top 5 guys who need to get it right.
We're going to go back.
This team
we're going to go back to one of our favorite episodes of all time and repeat the premise.
And that's exactly what we're going to do on Tom and Mike AM in the PM. And on the other side, we're going to break down the Eagles roster. We're going to give some real early predictions on what we think this team can be, and we'll get much more Eagles talk on the other side. Tom and Mike AM in the PM right here at a2dradio.com. And this segment was brought to you by BMW of Atlantic City. They've challenged their sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save right now. Lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive, just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City, easy to get to, minutes off exit 37 in the Parkway. Online, BMW of AtlanticCity.com.
You're listening to the worldwide leader of Real Talk, A2DRadio.com.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by Romeo's Termite and Pest Control. Family owned and operated, Romeo's only employs the safest, most effective methods to rectify your situation. Whether it's at your house or at your commercial residence, no matter what the concern may be, they'll get the job done. Raccoons, squirrels, bed bugs, termites, you name it, they'll take care of it. Satisfaction guaranteed. Give them a call at 856-341-3927 or look them up on Facebook at Romeo's Pest Control or visit their website at www.romeospestcontrol.com, your local pest control provider. A2DRadio.com is sponsored by Martino Roofing. With more than 15 years of roofing experience, they have all the services that you need, whether it's new construction, tear-offs, replacements, or re-roofs for your residential or commercial business. They will provide a detailed service in a timely and professional manner. So you can give them a call for a free consultation at 609-792-5103. Send them an email at martinoroofing@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.martinoroofingllc.com. The number again is 609-792-5103. Martino Roofing.
This is Tom Arnone, owner and founder of HUDRadio.com. What if I told you I knew the best caterer in the business? Well, I'm not going to lie to you. It's Obie's Catering. You can contact Obie's Catering at cateringbyobie@yahoo.com or give Chris O'Brien a call at 856-534-8410. From graduations to wedding rehearsals to just if you need food cooked in your house. He'll do it all. He's trying to change the world one dish at a time. That's Obie's Catering. Chris O'Brien, 856-534-8410. Tell him Tommy A from HUDRadio.com sent you, and you'll get 20% off.
HUDRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com. Hey, do you consider yourself the next Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, or Jordan Spieth? Well, head on out on November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey for HUDRadio.com's first ever Real Talk Invitational. $125 per person to enter, teams up to 4 members, and it includes all you can eat and drink, and contests including longest drive, putting competition, closest to the pin, and the hole-in-one contest. Once again, it's November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey. The guys here at HUDRadio.com hope to see you there.
Welcome back, Tom.
Mike
AM.
in the VM.
We're right here at HUDRadio.com, and we started off our conversation, and you can vote and let us know Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. HUD Radio is where you can find us. The 2016 Eagles will be better with Bradford, winners with Wentz, decent with Daniel, and you went better with Bradford. And, I put my eggs into this guy's basket last year, and I'm really scared to do it again. I really am. I put a lot of faith in this guy. I thought he was going to have a good year, and there was times he was getting better. And
he didn't have a horrible year.
No, and now you got a new offense and, maybe more talent on the roster like we'll talk about in a little bit. So, for the sake of the argument, I don't think Wentz is going to play right away, so I'm going to go better with Bradford. Hopefully we don't have to see Chase Daniel. That's what I'm hoping for. I just want this team to be successful. And if they're successful, then you can wait more on Wentz.
Have an entire season where Chase Daniel doesn't see the field.
No chance of him seeing the field. And every Wednesday night, Tom and Mike Aram and the PM are brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC. You can find them on the web, gibsonmayer.com. And our poll question was brought to you by the Sports Outlet, Glendora, New Jersey. Find them on the web, sportsoutletinc.com. And we're going to jump in to breaking down the Eagles roster right now, giving a little predictions on where we think maybe they end up real early on. And our top 5 guys they need to perform for the Eagles to be good, and that is brought to you by Who do I want to give it to? Scanzano Sports Center, located in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, 856-889-3434 on the web, scanzanosports.com. Michael, we'll start with, if you want to start with the top 5 players, whatever you want to start with. You can start anywhere you want.
Well, I'm going to go a little bit of a different route this year, Tommy. These are definitely guys that have to perform, but I'm going with what I believe to be our guys that are flying under the radar. My sleeper picks, if you will. Some guys that, maybe the hardcore Eagles fans know them and maybe they don't. Maybe they're not even expected to be on the roster. Who knows? But these are 5 guys that I personally feel that if these guys perform, things could be real positive for the Eagles this year. So my first guy right out of the gate is who I believe is the forgotten man, especially without Chip Kelly here, is Kenyon Barner. I mean, there's nothing about this guy that I don't like. I mean, he runs hard. He's a north-south runner. He's definitely not a product of the Chip Kelly offense. I mean, you can put this kid in any NFL offense, and if you give him the rock enough times, he's going to succeed. And I actually think he could win the starting running back job. I'm not sold on Ryan Matthews. Darren Sproles, to me, is he's a third down back, occasional carries, more of a receiver out of the backfield. To me, Kenyon Barner could be the key to the whole thing.
Not a bad pick, especially with Ryan Matthews' injury history. Wendell Smallwood, a name that you think sneaks in there anywhere?
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see Smallwood getting his touches, but I don't think he wins the job by any means.
So you think Kenyon Barner can win the job?
I do. I think he could be a 22, 23, 24 carry a game guy.
Wow, okay. All right, well, we'll see how that plays out. If he does win the job, that's not a bad thing. I just, obviously going in, it's Ryan Matthews' job to lose.
It is, yes.
So, I mean, barring any injury, he's not going to lose that job, but he's a guy who's been beat up his whole career. So who's going to be that next guy in? Like you said, Sproles isn't a guy who's going to touch the rock 20, 25 carries a game. So it'll be interesting to see how that all works out. You got another guy under the radar?
Say you got another one? You want to go, or you want me to just rattle off my 5?
No, I mean, are we going under the radar, guys? That we can do that. I mean, I think I'm going to start with a guy that maybe isn't under the radar to a lot of people, but, a guy who got 3.5 sacks last year is definitely under the radar, and that's Vinny Curry, who gets a chance to step in and be your starting left defensive end, high motor guy, and I think this guy with a chance to be a starter has a chance to be double-digit sack type of guy and be a big-time impact, as a defense end in this football league.
Did you go back and listen to our first show last year?
Oh.
It's the same thing we said about Vinny Curry last year.
It was, and he didn't play.
And they buried him.
They buried him, and this year he's not buried. This year he's your starting defensive end.
Jim Schwartz is not going to bury a guy with a motor like that.
No, and I think he has a monster year. I really do. I think, Vinny Curry, if all things go right and he stays on the field, that's a double-digit sack guy.
No, I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. So my next guy that, to me, I think has the potential to have a real big year is Ruben Randall. Wide receiver. A lot of fans know him from his days with the Giants. Now in his 5th year out of LSU, this is the year that he's got to step up. I mean, basically the Giants kind of said that, they weren't sold on his route running. They weren't sold on his hands. He's got great speed, but they just don't think he's going to cut it. Well, what better way to stick it to your former team than to sign with a team in the division and perform at the highest level possible? And to me, Ruben Randall could be a guy who gets cut from this team. He could be a guy who winds up as the number 1 receiver on this team. It's entirely up to him. The tools are there. The skills are there. He just has to step up, show up, have a great training camp, and put his stamp on it.
Okay, I'm going to go back to another defense end.
Okay.
Somebody who was a former first-round pick of the draft. And I believe that this guy is another guy that if he lines up and puts his hands in the dirt, that he's got the quickness to be a guy to be able to come off the edge and pressure quarterbacks. It's all about in this league putting pressure on the quarterback.
Don't do it.
And I'm going to go Marcus
Don't
Smith.
do it.
And
Don't do it.
he's it was a guy who almost was inactive, who was buried because they were so loaded at that position. That's what people forget. It's so easy to say a guy's a bust, but when you're playing behind guys that are getting paid and are starters in this league, he got buried behind a lot of guys. I think now, being the second guy in a rotation, he's got a chance to put some pressure on the quarterback and be helpful to this football team on the defense side of the football.
Cash your fan card now. You just went Marcus Smith as one of your 5.
We're talking about under the radar guys.
No, it's honestly
that is one of my 5 guys.
No, honestly, I'm actually good with that because
I got to search for under the radar.
No, I mean realistically, I kind of feel the same way. I feel like in a 4-3, like you said, with his hand in the dirt,
yeah,
I actually think he could be a factor. I think he was just way out of place at outside linebacker.
You're asking the kid to now cover and coverage and a lot of things for a guy to learn. And you got to remember, he had 2 really good players playing in front of him.
I mean, this is a kid who was he was a quarterback in college. They moved him to defensive end and basically said, put your hand in the dirt, get to the quarterback as fast as you can. He didn't have to worry about coverages or schemes or anything like that. All he had to do was beat the tackle around the corner and sack the quarterback. If that's what Schwartz asks him to do again now, I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you.
Well, you saw when he had I'm not like crowning him by any stretch, but when he had the opportunity to line up in the 3-4 and just go after the quarterback, I personally think that he showed some spots where, okay, there's some quickness off the edge, right? He was involved in a couple plays here and there. So I saw a little bit more of him that as a guy as a sleeper that you're hoping to live up to a number 1 pick in the draft, first-round guy, it's make or break time for him. So that's more where I'm going with it. It's make or break for Marcus Smith.
No, I hear you.
You're not buried.
This has got to be the year.
You're not buried anymore. I mean, Connor Barwin right the end, Brandon Graham right the end, Vinny Curry left the end, Marcus Smith left the end. You're a second in rotation. You're going to have a chance to go get the quarterback. Do you do it? I don't know. Michael?
My next guy, and this is a guy that a lot of people may never have heard of before, Byron Marshall. Byron Marshall is a 5'9", 200-pound rookie running back out of Oregon. And before everyone wants to do some Oregon bashing, remind me that Chip Kelly no longer works here. Byron Marshall is the only player in the history of the Pac-10 conference, or Pac-12, whatever you want to call it now, who had a season where he rushed for over 1,000 yards and came back the following season and had over 1,000 yards receiving.
I know Byron Marshall real well.
Yeah, this guy, he is a dual threat, passing or receiving and running. He's one of these guys that you could line up virtually anywhere. This guy, to me, is what they expected Josh Huff to be 3 years ago. And I think he could be the one who, quite frankly, pushes Josh Huff out of a job. He could be the guy who is that, slot wide receiver / motion tailback / your call it your wing back or whatever terminology you want to use.
Yeah.
The guy that when he comes into the huddle, the defense has no idea where he's going to line up. You could get him the ball in any number of capacities. He's also going to be a punt returner and a kickoff returner. And this guy has the speed and the elusiveness to really be a game changer. And I think it was a real shrewd move by the Birds front office to sign this guy.
Yeah, he signed him as a free agent, and it's a good sleeper name because we need sleeper names. So now I need to find another sleeper.
That doesn't have to be a sleeper, just somebody you think has to step up.
I'm gonna go Michael Kendricks.
I like it.
I'm gonna stay on the defense side of the football. He needs to have a big year. I gave you 2 guys that were a little more under the radar guys that I need to see big things out of. Both are going to get a chance to play lefty end. We need pressure on the quarterback. That's how you win games in this league. We need them to big time. We need Michael Kendricks to stay healthy.
Agreed.
Michael Kendricks has to finish a full season for the Philadelphia Eagles. Michael Kendricks needs to be a leader of this defense, along with Jordan Hicks. But Michael Kendricks has to stay on the field. For us to be successful as a football team, Michael Kendricks has to be on the football field and has to be healthy. And again, a make or break for Michael Kendricks. Because this is a guy who, if he's injured a lot again, this is a guy who could be on his way out of here.
No, you're absolutely right. If Michael Kendricks could play a full season, guy's got all the potential in the world. I mean, he's a potential Pro Bowler if he could stay on the field. Problem is, when does Michael Kendricks ever stay on the field?
Well, that's the problem, Mike. So can we get 16 out of Michael Kendricks?
I would love it.
And that's what we're looking to do. But, again, he never fully has played a full season, and he's another guy who's been bright spots with negatives. So, I mean, that's what you get out of him is hit or miss with Michael Kendricks. Well, again, for us to be successful this year and get to the win total that I think we can get to, Michael Kendricks has to be on the football field.
Oh, and I'm actually staying at that same position because one of the guys that I'm really looking for.
Oh, you're going defense, Michael?
I am going defense.
Okay, because you went 2 goddamn running backs. Who was your other guy? Who's your other guy? You went, and Ruben Randall.
Ruben Randall,
Okay, to give everybody updated, you went as a sleeper, you went Kenyon Barner.
I went Kenyon Barner, Ruben Randall,
Byron Marshall.
And
I went Vinny Carey, Marcus Smith, and as more sleeper guys that need that big years, and Michael Kendricks is more of a guy that we all know needs to step up. Now your fourth pick.
Now I am sliding over to the other side of the ball.
Good to have you.
Good to have you.
Remember where you win at in this league.
Thanks for letting me in. No, the guy that I am actually really, really anxious to see is Nigel Bradham. For big free agent signing out of Buffalo.
They're going to be starting linebacker.
A guy who has been in the Jim Schwartz scheme before. It's going to be a starting linebacker. It's going to be real interesting to me to see how the rotation breaks down with Nigel Bradham, Jordan Hicks, Michael Kendricks. They're talking about Brian Brayman getting more time at linebacker because apparently Schwartz loves him. You got Deontay Skinner, who is a second-year guy out of Mississippi State that they really like. You got Travis Long coming back this year. So there's a lot of talent at linebacker. Is Nigel Bradham going to be that guy who steps up? Hey, 5th year out of Florida State. This is a big-time player out of a big-time program.
No question about it.
Who signed for big-time money.
Yep.
Is he going to be that leader on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, I think he gets a benefit. I love that pick. I love that pick because I think he gets a benefit. One, if Kendrick stays healthy and Hicks stays healthy, he gets the benefit of being that third guy on the defense. And with them 3 at your linebacking core, that's a real good core. So I love that pick. I do. I think he needs to have a big year. Coming out of college, he's a big-time guy. So does he have it? Hopefully he does. I'm going to stay defensive side of the football one more time here. And I think Rodney McLeod's going to have a good year. I'm going to go a step down in the depth chart. Eric Rowe. I need Eric Rowe. Nolan Carroll.
We loved him last year.
Nolan Carroll coming off an injury. I still believe he's your starter, but Eric Rowe needs to step in and find himself a spot here. If he's playing slot, I don't know. I think he's more of an outside guy, but did his speed get better? Did his footwork get better? Did he learn how to bump and run better? So all these things, you hope he took the next step, and he's a contributor in some way. Now, if he doesn't have to start and he's their second guy in and he's a slot guy and he plays in different packages, fine, because that means everybody else is healthy and playing well. McKelvin. Because Leo's McKelvin is mostly coming in and starting over Eric Rowe. But competition, we love it.
Right.
We love it.
We're
deep on this football team. And I think Pro Football Talk had us one top 5 in rosters or something like that. Somebody had us real high up in where they thought our roster.
The amount of talent on the roster.
Amount of talent on the roster.
Right.
That being said, Eric Rowe, second year in. Do you take a step forward?
Eric Rowe to me is an enigma because
what, Chip Kelly enigma?
Well, not exactly.
That's more of a stigma.
Yeah. But I mean, you had Pro Bowl receivers last year who were talking about how fundamentally sound he was and how they could just see a really, really bright future for him. And then you had guys like Calvin Johnson, basically eating his Thanksgiving dinner, off of Eric Rowe's numbers. And, doing so with a smile. So, I mean, was it a Jekyll and Hyde rookie year for Eric Rowe? Yeah, it was. And, we don't know that he was completely healthy the whole year because, he did battle the injuries a little bit towards the end of the year. But I do like the call. You and I were both big fans of Eric Rowe last year. I haven't soured on the kid. I want to see him step up and get himself a spot.
Well, Mike, back to your point about Wentz. I mean, you're back to the same point. You got the kid step back a little bit. He has starters in front of him, okay, and he gets a chance to, take a step back and get better, learning from pros, however you want to say it. Creates competition to make him better, and he's not forced into the job. If he comes out and wins the job, so be it. But he's not forced on the depth chart into the job, which I think is good for the kid. So we'll see how he steps up. Your fifth?
My fifth, and I'm actually staying at that same position. I'm going Jalen Mills, rookie out of LSU. This was a guy who was a 7th-round draft pick, and by all accounts, he was an absolute steal. I mean, he had 21 teams contact him to sign him as an undrafted free agent if he made it through that 7th round. The Eagles snapped him up. This was a guy who was projected to be a 3rd or 4th round draft pick.
Yeah.
Said
some stupid shit.
Did some things, said some things, injury trouble. Guy's out of LSU. He played at a big-time program.
Hey, you know where I feel about it?
I mean, we've talked about this before.
I'll take the whole LSU Alabama roster. Here you go.
The SEC might as well be the minor, AAA for the NFL.
When in doubt, draft SEC.
Draft SEC, exactly.
That's really how it
And I think, by all accounts, the kid had a real...
Or trade up and take kid from a Division I AA school. Either. I mean, anyway you want to... Anyway.
Forget about it. But, yeah, I mean, by all accounts... The kid had real strong OTAs, rookie camp, mini camp.
Talented.
He is talented.
It's here. Listen, when you go to the next level, right, it's the head. Where's your head at? Are you a worker or are you an idiot?
What I would absolutely love this kid to do is pick up the phone and make a call to Arizona and say, hey, Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, you guys were both a little
LSU guys.
At LSU.
Yep.
How did you get yourself straightened out? And just listen to the two of them. Because Tyrann Mathieu is one of the greatest reclamation stories in the history of sports.
And Peterson and his father deserve a ton of credit for that.
Right.
For bringing him in right away. I mean, they brought him into their house. It was almost big brother thing with Peterson and...
No, you're absolutely right. Tyrann Mathieu could very easily have been Johnny Manziel before Johnny Manziel was Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, well, he was. I mean, listen, we passed up on the draft to this day.
Right.
Now, if he came here, does he change his career? Probably not, because going with Patrick Peterson, he was able to go in, move in with a guy that he knew from LSU, was almost like family to him in a way. His dad helped him. So we had people in place.
Let's not make any mistake about it, though. Patrick Peterson wasn't a saint either. Patrick Peterson's dad is like the Messiah on that stuff.
I believe he's a police officer.
I think you're right.
If I had to guess. Listen, as we're moving along here, I just want to keep pumping them out since we're going, and I'll give you my fifth in a second. This segment, we're continue talking, and we want everybody to know BMW Atlantic City, they have challenged their sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save right now. Lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive. Just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience. It's closer than you think. BMW Atlantic City. Easy to get to. Minutes off exit 37 in the Parkway. Online, BMWAtlanticCity.com. Continue 5 guys that are under the radar or just need to step up for the Eagles to be successful. And, I'm going to go – I'm going to go to the wide receiver position, and I'm going to go to
you're coming to the good side of the line of scrimmage.
I am. I'm going to switch it up.
How about that?
And I think Nelson Aguilar needs to have a big year. Another young guy that you need to step up. You have a lot of first-round draft picks on this roster now. Lane Johnson, Jordan Matthews, Marcus Smith, of guys that were Chip Kelly, Howie Roseman draft picks that need to take the next step. Eric Rowe. So there's a lot of them here. First-round type talent guys. Eric Rowe, not first round, but second-round guy. You need these guys to step up to make your team deeper and better and take steps forward. Nelson Aguilar, you need that. You need another receiver on this team.
No, you're absolutely right.
Jordan Matthews, good, strong football player, right? You need somebody else. Okay, is it Nelson Aguilar? Listen, I don't even want to say Josh Huff's name, that crumb. And I say this now, I'll probably have a breakout year, but I just don't think he's good enough. Ruben Randall, good, solid receiver in this league. Chris Givens, more of a stretch guy, more of a guy who can stretch it out a little bit. So who's the odd man here that needs to be that number one type wide receiver, Mike? It's Nelson Aguilar. Has to take the step forward for this Eagles team to be successful. That's some of our 5 guys that we need to step up that are under the radar.
And I'm actually very much in agreement with you on Aguilar. He he's another one last year that, I mean, you saw just flashes from him in training camp where, I mean, he was drafted, 16, 17 overall out of USC, and you were thinking that the kid was a steal because he had top 10 talent in the preseason, especially when he was out there with Bradford. And then this, the regular season started, and all of a sudden he was just gone. And maybe that was a circumstance of Chip Kelly and his coaching staff. Maybe it was Aguilar hitting that rookie wall. Maybe the kid just didn't get it once the lights went on, so to speak, and they started kicking off at 1:00 on Sunday afternoons instead of 7:30 on Thursday nights. Maybe he just didn't get it. I don't know, but I think you're spot on with that. If Aguilar has a big year, because I think we know what we have in Jordan Matthews.
The guy's going to catch you 70, 75 strong passes. Yeah. I think he's more of 1,000 to 1,100 yard guy in this league.
No, you're right.
If you give him an outside guy that's legit, number one, I think he's a guy that can be more of 1,200, 1,250 type guy, big red zone target type player.
But exactly.
That's who he is.
Right, but
he's not 1,500.
Right, but you know what he is.
Yes.
You know what Zach Ertz is. You know what Brent Selleck is.
Solid football players.
What you need is that guy
playmaker
on the outside opposite of Ruben Randall, like you said, a playmaker. And Aguilar has the speed, the size, the hands. Everything is there. Can he just get out of his own head for 10 minutes every Sunday?
He got out of the charges. Thank goodness for him. Now, does that mess his head up? Knowing that you didn't do anything wrong, you almost got charged for something that ruins your career. This is mental makeup, Michael.
Right.
How do you rebound? Do you get better from this? Does this not phase you coming into camp? All sports, and I hope these guys, I'm sure understand this. A lot of times you're going to get knocked down. And the higher levels you go up, you're going to get knocked down. How do you rebound?
Respond, right.
And this goes for every one of these young kids. Vinny Carey buried last year. Not really a young kid anymore, but still youngish. Buried last year. What kind of guy are you?
Right.
Now you get a chance to come out and be a starter in a defense that could be really dangerous.
And you're getting paid a lot of money.
And a lot of money. Do you cash your check and stop? Or do you cash a check and become a ball player?
Right.
Not saying he isn't. I think he's going to come out with a high motor and do what he does. I'm excited about this football team. The only thing this year from last year that doesn't excite me and makes me nervous is Sam Bradford. But, I think we're okay at running back. He said Kenyon Barner's a guy. Wendell Smallwood, another guy that, running backs you can fill in if you got a good offensive line.
No, they could do running back by committee very successfully.
I think this offensive line's better than it was last year. Because they're bringing in a Brandon Brooks solidifies your right guard spot. Lane Johnson, another guy, Mike, I need to see another step from.
Right.
Flashes. You need to be a bookend. You were drafted number 4, babe, to be a bookend, right? Not to be just a guy.
Right.
Okay? Jason Peters, can you be a road grader? Because this is going to be downhill blocking. Jason Kelsey, I think he has a better year because he's not going to be a guy who has to pull a ton, get out. I think that offense hurts some guys and helps some guys.
I agree. And when I look at this offensive line and I look at the names on this line, we talked about Jason Peters, Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, Brandon Brooks. But then you're also talking about guys like, Andrew Gardner's still there. Matt Tobin is still there. Stefan Wisniewski signed as a free agent. You've got the 2 kids that you drafted, the Vaitai and Semualo, that are, going to compete for jobs. You still got Malcolm Bunch that they loved a ton last year, that they were able to stash on their practice squad last year. There is just a ton of talent, player by player, on that offensive line. The question
Credit to Howie Roseman,
right.
Doug Peterson, and saying, hey, solidify.
The question is, how well do they play as a unit? Can they find the right spot, the right combination for these guys? And realistically, do they know when to say when?
Well,
because do they come into camp and look at Jason Peters and say, you know what? That's a big contract and it's not guaranteed. thanks, see you later. Lane Johnson, we're going to slide you over to the left side where, oh, by the way, you dominated Hardy last year. We're going to slide you over to the left side. We're going to bring one of these kids that we drafted and put them at right tackle. We're going to, juggle the guards a little bit.
Oh, maybe an Andrew Gardner.
Yeah, we're going to try it again.
Well, this is why
this
is why I think they're going to be successful, is because there's only one new guy added to this offensive line, and that's a really good guard in Brandon Brooks.
Right.
So these guys have all played together. Even Alan Barbary, whoever you want to throw in, Tobin at the other guard, or Gardner goes and plays a little guard, whoever that other guard is, they've all played together. So they've all been in rotation together. They've all learned schemes together, blocking assignments. They've done it.
Right.
So I think that's where an advantage is to this offense. In terms of this offense, yes, they have to learn a new offense, but they're all guys who've been together to learn a new offense together. A lot of camaraderie, essentially. Sam Bradford, Brent Selleck, Zach Ertz. I mean, the list goes on. You talk about all the offensive linemen. Jordan Matthews, Nelson Aguilar, Trey Burton, Ryan Matthews, Sproles. They've all played together. So some of that chemistry that was there a little bit out of last year, you hope some of it carries over.
Yeah, now, real quick, a name that you just mentioned there that if you were giving me a 5A on top of my 5,
5A.
Trey Burton.
I was going to say him, too.
And the reason that I say that is Trey Burton is listed on their roster as a tight end, but I'm telling you right now, as sure as I'm sitting here, Trey Burton makes this team, and you're going to see Trey Burton at fullback, at tight end, and at wide receiver. He's going to be all over the place.
Ourlads.com, who has a pretty good depth chart always.
Right.
I mean, they're pretty spot on. They got him listed as a fullback.
As a fullback. Okay,
so,
well, he's actually listed on the Birds roster as a tight end.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Maybe that's where they can put him on the roster and have a spot for him. A guy who starts out in the backfield, spreads out. Because Zach Ertz, again, not your prototypical tight end. Zach Ertz more of a slot receiver type.
Right. No, he is.
So that's why you hope Aguilar breaks out or Matthews can play a little more to the outside. So let's do this. On the other side, we'll come back with our predictions. I mean, we broke down the depth chart. We'll come back with our predictions, and we'll get into some Phillies talk.
Our predictions this week.
This week, it could change very, very quickly moving forward. So we'll come back, we'll give you our predictions on where we think the Eagles land early on. This is before everything. So we're going to get a jump on them, see where they stack up, and then we'll also break into the Phils a little bit. Winning 4-1 right now. I don't know if it's over.
I believe that is a final.
It is a final. Congratulations to them.
Yeah, and
whoop-de freaking dough.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, though. You had Jeremy Hellickson basically auditioning for a team that needs pitching in a big way, and he goes out and he beats them 4-1. So we'll hit that on the other side.
We will hit that on the other side. This is Tom.
Mike.
AM.
In the PM.
Right here at a2dradio.com. And this segment was brought to you by Harry's Contracting. For professional home improvement, give Harry Ernst a call, 609-638-6336. Or email him, Harry's Contracting Improvements @gmail.com. Tell him the boys from A2D Radio sent you. You get 15% off. You get the job. Another 5. That's 20% off if you can add. We'll be back. This is Tom Arnone, owner and operator of A2DRadio.com and host of Agree to Disagree. If I want to go check out a ball game, there's no better place than the Phillies Sports Bar located 31 South Black Horse Pike in Runnymede, New Jersey. With over 40 plasma and HD TVs, a brick oven, a 2-story deck, the Sports Bar has surpassed everyone's expectations. From the one-of-a-kind sports memorabilia to life-size sports figures, the bar stays true to its name. The Phillies Sports Bar will provide quality service along with outstanding variety of the finest liquors and well-known beers in a family-friendly environment while remaining true to what they are, the best darn sports bar. That's the Phillies Sports Bar located in Runnymede, New Jersey.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey guys, Rob Povia here from Fantasy Dominance Now and the Hockey Happy Hour here on a2dradio.com. And I got a quick question for you. Is your home in need of remodeling? Well, contact Harry's Contracting at 609-638-6336. That's 609-638-6336. Harry Ernst is the owner, and he's fully insured and licensed. And his prices are so low, you'll think he's insane. Mention A2D Radio, and you get 15% off the estimate. And if you give Harry the job, tack on another 5% off for a total of 20% off the job. That is insane. Contact Harry Ernst at 609-638-6336 or email him at mrmustang02@verizon.net. Harry's Contracting. Insane home improvements.
Hey, do you consider yourself the next Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, or Jordan Spieth? Well, head on out on November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey for A2DRadio.com's first ever Real Talk Invitational. $125 per person to enter, teams up to 4 members, and it includes all you can eat and drink, and contests including longest drive, putting competition, closest to the pin, and the hole-in-one contest. Once again, it's November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey. The guys here at A2DRadio.com hope to see you there.
Tom.
Mike.
And
In the BM.
right here on the worldwide leader of Real Talk, A2DRadio.com. And we are live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios. We're in Mount Ephraim. They are right off exit 37 of the Parkway. You can find them, BMW of AtlanticCity.com. Also, want to give out some particulars, some details, as they like to say in the biz. We will be hosting our first annual Real Talk Invitational, which is just a phenomenal freaking name. And that will be November 5th from Jaws' place. We all know Jaws, Valley Brook Country Club. And we'll be out there November 5th, 125 a golfer. Teams of 4 best ball tournament. We'll have a hole-in-one tournament for a car, and I'm going to leave that right there. There is also putting tournaments and a bunch of other tournaments. All you can eat, all you can drink, cart girls. There might even be from a certain gentleman's nightclub. There could also be women handling the pins are in the works as well. So a lot of fun stuff out there. Bring your dollars, boys.
I thought the women
Bring
were
your
going to be
dollars.
handling our balls.
They will be. And bring your dollars. Just bring your dollars. I'm just going to leave it right there. Bring your dollars. If you just joined us, we started the show, and you can still vote. Let us know. You can let us know. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, A2D Radio is where you can find us. The 2016 Eagles will be better with Bradford. Winners with Wentz. Decent with Daniel. We both went better with Bradford because, to be honest with you, I have my reasons on why Wentz doesn't play. You think he plays maybe a little bit earlier if Bradford gets hurt. You know, if Bradford gets hurt, I agree that he moves up, but I still think Daniels plays over him. I think this kid is parked on the pine for the entire season.
Look, make no mistake about it. The best thing about Chase Daniel is his wife.
No question.
Just leave it right there.
I would love to leave it right there.
I'm glad you hit that the way I teed it up for you.
Thank you. I can't do it on the golf course on November 5th, but I'll be there putting. People ask me, Tom, you playing? And I said, yeah, I love the cart. Obviously, I'm a fan of alcohol. Who isn't? And I'm a big fan of just finishing off the game. That's what I said for you two guys. Mr. Povey is joining us now. I almost said flew down.
Yeah.
He did fly down. He did fly down. But for the guys who aren't golfers, I'm not a golfer either. Get yourself a threesome of good golfers with you. Go there and just beat a putter.
Oh, make no
It's
mistake.
best ball tournament.
Make no mistake about it. I got a hell of a short game.
Me too.
I actually do own a putter and a sandwich.
But you know this. Most of these good golfers are drivers. Most of the golfers that you're going to run into can drive a ball, but they can't putt worth a shit. So if you put together a team of a couple guys who can drive a ball and some guys with some short game and a guy who can putt like myself, it's game over. Now, I'll probably joke, but where's my mental goddamn makeup? I don't know. I don't know. But every Wednesday night, we are brought to you by Gibson Mayer, LLC, your certified public accountant. Find them on the web, GibsonMayer.com.
Yeah, big shout out to Jim Gibson. He has been, he's been on the board since day one. I mean,
Oh, yeah, no question
what
about
were we, two weeks into the show when Jim Gibson and Gibson Mayer
Been here the
came
whole
on
time.
board? And, great guy, an Eagle season ticket holder. He tailgates literally 3 spots down from me in the lot. Real supportive of our social media posts.
No question.
He's always liking and sharing the posts. And, I mean, obviously, it's July, going on August. There's not a lot of accounting stuff that needs to get done at this time of year. So what? Give him a call. Let him take a look at your books. Start planning ahead for next year.
You got a small business.
Show these guys some love.
Yeah,
you know?
you got a small. But listen, this is what it is, and this is the fun thing about social media nowadays, and the form of advertising for people and different from the good old days.
Right.
Is that what we do is we give you all your links, all your social media links, so they're always in posts and they're always on our YouTube and they're linked to our site. And what that does, SEO for somebody's company, is takes them up the board on Google, which then could get them business, and then people have no idea it came from us. But that's really how it goes.
I hear you.
And for even me, until I learned it, now that I learned it, I understand it. But for somebody who doesn't learn it, you're thinking you're going to call us from A2D Radio all the time. You might, like Sports Outlet did. Sports Outlet got plenty of people that went there because they heard us here. Well, that's just the way that went about it. But other companies that are part of us here, they might be getting work on the back end and not even know it's really coming from us because we're helping you SEO and we're helping you on Google, babe. I'm just here to help the people. And look, I just gave you two a freaking sales pitch. That's how it works. That's not even pitching. That's just real talk. Because we are the worldwide leader of goddamn real talk.
Tom Arnone.
Eskin doesn't lie.
A man of the people.
Eskin doesn't lie. Arnone doesn't lie. I mean, I've been known to lie a little bit.
I was going to say, you've been known to bend the truth once or twice.
Well, I just want to give my boys my man over at Philly Reason. I got to give him some love.
Give him a
because
shout.
I've been really following along. I think it's one guy doing this all by himself and trying to make Philly great again. I love his style of post, and we're right with him trying to make Philly radio great again. Real talk. And I went out on a limb today, and they've been ripping Elliott Shore Parks for months. We've ripped Sean Brace. I'll continue to rip that hack, and I'll rip everybody else that comes along. But Eskin doesn't lie. Eskin and Elliott Shore Parks went at it, and Eskin told, pretty much accused Elliott Shore Parks of lying about information, lying about sources, and lying about the stuff he's reporting. At the end of the day, that's a hack. So I went on, and I attacked the hacks. One more hack I got to attack before we give our Eagles prediction. I just want to attack Liberty Ballers for a minute, one more time, if nobody got the memo. If you've seen pictures of these guys, they don't have a clue about basketball. We'll just leave that there. That's irrelevant, really, because they might have knowledge. But their knowledge goes to the wayside when I've seen at least 10 different times they have posted about the trade of Jaleel Okafor. How many times? I'm not saying, Michael, that he's not going to get dealt. I'm going to tell you it'll be the biggest mistake in franchise history if Jaleel Okafor gets dealt. I am promising this franchise this right now. I'm not saying it's not going to happen.
I am
you both are
complete
writers.
agreement with you.
You both guys are writers. How many freaking times can a guy be – your sources tell you he's being dealt? How many freaking times, guys? Really? I mean, I'm not trying to call out to people a credible source because Liberty Ballers is no longer a credible source. On draft night, Michael, they lost their ability to be a credible source. If you want to be a blog company or a company in terms of articles, and that's the way you want to roll, you better be freaking right. You better be right. You cannot come out and say this deal's about to be done. They had Okafor on a goddamn plane to Boston. My point is, stop following the bullshit.
All right, well,
here's
here's the thing, Tommy. My take on that. Aside from the fact that they have a catchy name and they are quote-unquote friends with some, shall we call them crumbs?
Yeah, crumbs is fine.
That we had a minor disagreement with a couple of weeks ago.
Which is over. They know who we are.
Fucking guys, excuse my French.
Get in here, babe. It's been a while. I haven't heard that one. I love it. I freaking love it.
But But hey, it's our 1-year anniversary show. I'm allowed an F-bomb.
Thank you.
I'm allowed an F-bomb.
No, thank you. I'm thanking you. Welcome.
Thanks for stopping by. The voice of reason has gone overboard.
He's gone. Go ahead, buddy.
But they got a catchy name.
Yeah.
And they're friends with a couple of crumbs.
Uh-huh.
They take advantage of a very convenient theory in journalism. And that theory is that you don't have to legally reveal your sources.
Yeah.
And the problem is what you're seeing more and more nowadays with social media is some guy sees some rumor on some website and doesn't even bother to substantiate it. That has just become his source. So his sources tell him, well, you know what? You want some real basketball? We got a guy that we know, that we like, that we follow, and we're not even in bed with him. Kai Carlin and getting buckets.
Yeah.
That guy is the real deal.
No, Kai Carlin's legit.
Kai
We've had him on.
Carlin will put Liberty Ballers to shame.
No question.
8 days a week, 32 days a month.
And Kai Carlin's doing this all pretty much on his own. I think he has like one or two guys there.
I mean, Kai Carlin is the real deal. And getting buckets. It's a cool name.
Yeah.
It does his thing, Liberty Ballers, yeah, fun name, great. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Because your stuff sucks. It just sucks.
It's just there.
It's there. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I've never read Liberty Ballers.
No, I have, yeah.
But, I mean, I've read it, and I've laughed at the quality of the writing. Some of their stuff is legit. Some of their stuff, But, how hard is it to watch a Sixers press conference on Comcast Sportsnet and then go back and just regurgitate what you watched as if you were there?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well,
I mean, we have guys like our guys at Section 24/7 Sports. Unbelievable stuff, I mean, and then, Philly Reason, people like that, people that are doing it right. I mean, and then we got a guy coming in, next week, the infamous Nightman Dan from Twitter, who, I mean, everybody who's an Eagles fan knows who this guy is on Twitter. He's coming in next week. Guy knows his stuff inside and out. I mean, people just need to stop. Just because somebody worked on the dial one time. Doesn't mean they know their stuff.
It doesn't mean they have the sources that they claim they have. And my whole thing is, forget all them for a second. It's just, the Okafor deal. I just don't think you can just trade a guy with footwork
No,
like
you can't.
that. That's a walking, 20-8 guy.
It's a mistake.
And I think it would be a big time mistake. But
if you have to trade either Noel or Okafor every single day, it should be Noel.
it should be.
Yes, he's a great defensive player.
Yeah.
The problem is that's all he gives you.
Yeah, and I love Noel, and I'm going to sit here and say it now, which is shocking, but I'm going to say that. But speaking of, getting things wrong, let's predict our Eagles 2016-2017.
I ain't getting it wrong this year, Tommy. I'm not doing it.
Well, time will tell.
I'm going to underpromise and overdeliver.
You got to underpromise. Go ahead, you can go first.
I'm going 2-14. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Just give me a handgun.
Hey.
Not for you, for me.
All right. So you want to do this legit right now today?
Today. And, obviously it's going to change as things go on.
Today, before training camp has started, I got him at 7-9. And I think it's going to be a struggle to get to 7-9 unless they come out of the gate hot. If they come out of the gate 4-1, 5-2, then 7-9 goes bye-bye. Then the expectations increase big time.
I mean, with this roster as it is, and if healthy, I think they could be a 10-6 football team.
Ooh, that's bold.
I mean, they could be. Their defense is upgraded. Their defense is better. Their offensive line has been upgraded. You hope that, you paid $26 million guaranteed to Sam Bradford, that you get something from him. Now, if I'm banking it on Sam Bradford, I'm not going to bank on that. But what I will bank on is the defense side of the football. And I think they can win this team games. I think they're going to keep this team in games. And when a division that I don't think's that good, I think it gives them a legitimate chance. I'm not officially sold on the Washington Redskins like people are. All right, I'm not sold on Kirk Cousins. I'm just not. I'm obviously not sold on the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, I'm not sold on the New York Giants. I mean, I'm just not sold on this division as a whole. Just like other, people from the division would say the same thing about the Eagles. So, I mean, it sort of goes full circle. Again, this division is wide open again. So being wide open, now if they played in the, AFC, it's a different conversation. You know what I mean, Mike? But for the division they play in, and you figure, what do you play? You play 6 games in your division? Well, you take care of business there. I think they could be a 9-7, 10-6 team and probably win the division with this roster as is, healthy. Can all change if things go downhill. So I think that's what they wanted, Mike. They wanted to be a 10-16. They wanted to compete for the division. It's the only logical reason for them to give Sam Bradford and Chase Daniel $26 million guaranteed and $12 million guaranteed. It's the only logical explanation for it. It's the only logical explanation. They went out and made moves in free agency, low risk, high reward moves.
Don't forget the guy on your side of the ball, by the way.
Jim Schwartz?
No. His big price tag guy.
Fletcher Cox.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, Fletcher Cox has
6
come
years,
to play.
$102 million.
You're putting a lot of money in the defense side of the football, and I think that's where they're going to have to win at. And if they do, it's a good football team.
Yeah, I don't want to change the subject, Tommy.
No,
I just got this alert on the Selly. There's a line for you. In the
we going Red Sox game?
Yeah, through 6 innings, 3 at-bats, 3 runs, 3 hits, 6 RBIs, 3 homers. Hanley Ramirez.
Have a day, Han.
Yeah, have a day.
Have a day. I think I probably got the same alert.
Yeah, everybody got the same thing at the same time.
The greatest thing the Boston Red Sox did for Hanley Ramirez's career is make him a first baseman.
Yes.
Listen, when you can play one side of the corner, you can play the other side of the corner. If you can play third, you can play short.
First, right.
You can field a ground ball and catch a ball at first base. And the good thing about Hanley, he's a bigger guy, and he's living up to his side of the contract over there in Boston. And watch out for them. They're playing some good baseball right now in the second half of the year.
They're literally a half game out of first place all of a sudden.
And they made another move, got another lefty in the rotation from San Diego. They go with Price. They can hit the ball. They're deep.
Well, I know, and we talked, we alluded earlier about the fact that
no Pablo either, really.
Right. But we alluded to the fact earlier that Jeremy Hellickson was kind of, he was more or less auditioning for the Marlins, may also be auditioning for the Red Sox. And you're correct, no Pablo.
No Pablo.
No, for the year. I mean, he's done.
No, I know. And
Travis Shaw is more than holding his own over at third base.
A ton of money put into him, and you got nothing, and you're still half a game out of first place because you spent a lot of money on other guys who have lived up to it. What's Hanley going? Bogart's had a monster year for you, finally living up to him. Ortiz, and then Hanley, batting .286. But the fact that he has, 11 homers, 3 tonight, but still a guy who's batting .286 for you.
Yeah, he's in .286.
They've got a lot from guys. Jackie Bradley Jr. finally starting to play baseball. So they've got a lot from
Mookie Betts, Brock Holt.
They were patient on their prospects.
Right.
And their prospects have delivered for them to go along with the money they've spent. So they've done it the right way of bringing in a lot of money to spend on big-time players. But then their prospects, Bradley Jr., Bogarts,
Ring, Matt Klentak.
But I think the problem with us is
patient with their prospects.
Well, no, they weren't really patient with him. I mean, Bradley and Bogarts were up.
Right.
They were playing, so they weren't really patient with
them.
Right,
but they didn't set patient because they didn't send them back down.
No, that's right.
Once they were up, they were up.
I mean, Bradley Jr. struggled at some points and stayed up. They went through the wave of it. And
well, it's interesting because I did read a quote today from Joe Jordan, who's the director of the farm system for the Phillies.
Yep.
And they were talking about the three-headed monster, Jake Thompson, Nick Williams, and J.P. Crawford. And they specifically said they're on the radar. Phillies fans, don't freak out. But he specifically said, we don't want to pull a Dom Brown with these guys. Once they go up, they're staying up, and we want them to be ready, and we want the Phillies to be ready for them. It's going to happen.
I know it's going to happen, but go screw yourself.
Well,
I mean, go screw yourself. I mean,
Tommy, it's July. It could happen sooner than you think.
No, I know, but for this son of a bitch to have the balls, freaking balls, when we're talking Jake Thompson, J.P. Crawford, and Nick Williams, to even bring up the crumb and Mr. No Adjustment Don Brown, will you stop it? Because listen, if they are Don Brown, they're going to be Don Brown regardless.
Well,
that's all. I agree with you on Carson Wentz. You know I'm a believer in get in and play right away. If you can play, you can play. You can play. If you can sit a kid back and let him play a little and learn, fine.
Right, but
fine.
with Don Brown, it was go up, play for a week, don't play for a week, get sent back down. I mean that can't happen. I mean if you want to bring a kid up.
But they was
and
a
you're
different
only
time,
you're only going to play him 5 days a week. That's fine as long as he stays up.
But it was different though because we were still like semi-contenderish in a way in our heads.
Way, yeah.
We were still relevant at the time that we thought we could still be a good baseball team at the time. So the Don Brown situation is a little different. Right now, we know who we are, and that's my only argument from April on is that we knew who we were going to be.
Right.
So let's do it together. Listen, they didn't go that approach. They wanted to give the kids some more seasoning. Fine.
Well,
we'll see him in September.
Here's it. Well, I'm going to tell you.
I'll tell you tomorrow, but that's.
Well, no, I'm going to tell you that for Jake Thompson and Nick Williams, you could be seeing him sooner rather than later. I mean,
Jake's ready. I
mean, Jake is ready. They juggled the rotation at Lehigh Valley, so he's pitching on the same night as Hellickson. So you got to figure they're going to expect to move Hellickson, and as soon as Hellickson gets moved, Jake Thompson takes that spot in the rotation.
Let me throw this out to you.
Go ahead.
Do you even move Hellickson?
Depends on what you can get in return.
Because the reason I ask you
you're not going to sell low on him.
No, but the reason I ask you this is he's a solid starter. He's a guy who was a Rookie of the Year. He was considered to be a big time prospect in this league after the Rookie of the Year, and things didn't work out for him. But he's starting to find his way here a little bit. And my question to you is, why? For a 28-year-old pitcher, right, that came in as your opening day starter, why? Why? Because the reason I ask you this is because if Thompson's ready, there's room on this rotation for him.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I'm not necessarily in a hurry to move Hellickson, but here's the thing. Take a look at the Dodgers, because this is where it all is going to start and end right now.
Yeah, their deal.
If Carson Wentz, if Clayton Kershaw has to have back surgery and is out for the rest of the year, they have no confidence right now in Urias. They love him to death, but they've seen enough of him this year to know he's not ready. They are going to set the trade market for pitchers, and the asking price is going to wind up being high because they're going to be desperate, and they're going to take the curve, and they're going to completely blow the curve up on what teams are going to be willing to offer for a starting pitcher. I'm not saying that you're going to get a Cole Hamels deal for Jeremy Hellickson, but you could wind up getting a lot more than you initially thought you would.
Let me ask you this one for the Hellickson situation. Are you more looking for back end of the bullpen, major league ready players than you are looking for prospects? And the reason I say this is you're so deep in your farm system right now, and you're getting ready to bring these kids up, and you want to be able to win 7, 8, and 9, right? Are you more looking for MLB proven relievers in a way? I mean, you're looking for some younger arms, a 27 range that still have life in the tank.
I think it depends on who else may get traded before Hellickson or what other discussions are taking place. Because if you're going to lose Jeanmar Gomez and David Hernandez, which are both real possibilities, yeah, I definitely want Major League ready arms coming back in return.
Okay, another one. Gomez goes. Do you then hold on to Hellickson, bring Thompson up, and move my boy to the closer spot? And that's Vincent Velasquez.
No, I knew you were
For
talking about.
the people out there that don't know who my boy is.
I don't know that I move him to the closer spot mid-season.
No, fair enough. Just throw,
No, I mean, I like the scenario. I just don't know that I do it during the season.
I'm just thinking of ways that you get Thompson up if you don't deal Hellickson.
Well, I'm also, and I've told you this before, I'm also not opposed to a six-man rotation.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, listen. If Hellickson's better than Eflin, and Thompson's better than Eflin, and Velasquez is better than Eflin, and Eichhoff and Noah are both better than Eflin, well, maybe Eflin becomes a back-end of bullpen type guy. I'm just saying. Because out of all them guys, Hellickson included, Eflin's that would be the sixth guy.
But I'll tell you what.
And I like Zach Eflin,
you look at what Zach Eflin has done. Other than that first game against the Blue
well.
Jays, He's competed.
He has.
He's competed every single game, even Sunday against the Mets.
This is a good problem to have.
Yeah, he didn't have his good stuff Sunday, and he still went 6 innings, 3 runs, gave his team a chance to win.
Serviceable, but there's no offense in this lineup. It's
No.
not deep enough. I mean, you're relying on Peter Borges, and I like what I've seen out of Tommy Joseph so far with the pop. From a corner spot, you need pop.
It's amazing to me that Peter Borges is going to wind up getting you a halfway decent haul at the trade deadline.
Yeah, could. He very well could.
Let me toss something out to you real quick.
Yeah, shoot.
And I'm going to back my chair up so that I don't get a backhand coming across the table when I tell you this. Don't be surprised. And I'm not going to pull a Liberty Ballers on you. I have no sources. I'm just reading between the lines here. Because remember, I do the eye test. I've been out there a bunch over the last few weeks. Don't be surprised if someone, probably an American League team, but if someone makes the right offer, the Phillies don't move Odubel Herrera. I'm not saying I want it to happen. I'm not saying it's a probability. But what I'm saying to you is, if there is a team in the American League that needs a left-handed bat to get them over the hump, and they're willing to pony up, I could see the Phillies doing it. And the thing that's tipping me off to this,
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting to hear.
Nick Williams has been playing a lot of center field at Lehigh Valley over the last week and a half.
But why?
What they were doing with him early in the season was they were literally taking him every day and basically going left, center, right, just playing him everywhere just to get him that time in all 3 outfield spots. But over the past week to week and a half, they've been playing him mostly in center field.
Can I say something?
You say anything you want.
What the fuck are they doing? I'm sorry, but what are they doing? What are you doing? You just used the number 1 pick in the draft on a kid that you hope is 3 years away, right? If you're going number 1, you're hoping he's 3 years away on a center fielder. Why is Nick Williams even playing center?
You got to get to 3 years.
You have an all-star center fielder.
Okay, but that doesn't mean – that's not to say that Nick Williams is going to come up and take his spot. They could call up Nick Williams tomorrow, plug him into left field, and kick Cody Ashley in the ass and put him on the curb.
No, I know. It's just mind-boggling to me.
But what I'm saying is they are preparing for every scenario. And I actually give them credit for that.
Well, if the doors get blown off on the Odubel Herrera, then so be it. But you better get your doors blown off on a kid, on a puppy.
Right. But
on a real young kid.
Right. But what I'm saying is, a team like Cleveland maybe, who's got a shit ton of talent at AAA, who's basically major league ready, but could probably use another bat in their outfield. You never know. And like I said, I don't have any sources. I'm not saying it's a probability, but he's probably the most marketable piece that they have in terms of ability. It wouldn't surprise me.
So then what do you then what you're telling me then, if they do that they're setting themselves up for another 2 or 3 years. That's what they're doing.
It depends on the return.
It depends, but if you're going AAA kid, you're telling me another 2-3 years.
Well, if they're major league ready.
You're still telling me another 2 years. You can't expect a bunch of AAA kids all come up together and they're just going to win right away.
What if you get a let me toss a couple of names at you.
I want a top of the rotation guy then. If I'm giving you a Odubel Herrera, I want your number 2 starter. I mean,
and you know what?
I'm gonna shoot high. You're not gonna get it.
No, I mean, but
you're not gonna get it, but that's what I'm gonna want.
No, and that's reasonable. That's completely reasonable. What if a team like Texas called you up and said, "Hey,
Cole Hamels"?
No, like, yeah, no,
bring him back.
We don't. We really don't know.
Imagine if you could get Herrera for Hamels and you got all that.
All that back, yeah. But no, I mean, what if a team like Texas called you up and said, "Hey, we'll give you Jerks and Profar and Joey Gallo"?
No.
You wouldn't do it?
No, I'll do it for Profar and somebody else. I want no part to Gallo. He stinks.
Profar and Rua. Dude, Profar and Rua is a tough deal.
What's Rua? Rua? Hold on, what's Rua?
Rua's an outfielder. You could plug.
Where's he at? AAA,
AAA. You could plug Rua into center and Profar at second base, and your team gets better like that.
I would do that. I want no parts of Joey Gallo. We talked about this last year.
I wasn't a big Joey Gallo fan either.
Almost this
to
time
the day.
next week,
yeah.
we sat here and talked that we wanted no parts of Gallo on that deal. That I just
and 1 year has gone by and the feeling has not changed.
We wanted Williams in the deal when we were talking Texas. We wanted Thompson in the deal. We got mostly back.
The only guy that we wanted that we didn't get was Nomar Mazara.
Yeah,
and he's our starting right fielder now. So
makes sense.
Why? Wonder why you didn't give him up.
But listen, for them giving us Thompson, I mean, I'm telling the public right now to recognize something. This kid comes in and he's your number one. He's a bulldog. He's horse type stuff. You've seen him. I mean, you've seen him more than anybody. Besides the scouts.
Right.
But I mean, this is top of the rotation stuff. This isn't Nola. 92, 93. This is 95, 96, 97. Hard. And it just goes into this rotation.
But here's the thing that I like about him. You get the 95, 96, 97, but it's an easy 95, 96, 97. He's not out there on the hill grunting and using every ounce of his strength to get it up there at 97 every pitch. What you're getting out of him is 92, 93, 94. Oh, it's a 1-2 count. Boom, 97. And it's diving on you.
Yep.
Like it's the kid just knows how to pitch.
Yeah, and
he's a 4-pitch pitcher.
That's why Hellickson has to go.
Huh.
I mean, essentially, unless you're doing my solution, if you keep Hellickson and Velasquez goes, closer role, if you get rid of Gomez, understand not right now, maybe you let – because I love Velasquez's stuff so much, and he's going a little longer. I get that, but I just still
I don't fault you one bit.
Man, it's almost like he could do both. I
Right.
just feel like he could do both. I just don't know which one he'll be better at. And part of me thinks that, like, oh, my God, you get the 9 with him, it's over. It's over with his stuff, but I don't know, Mike. I mean, he could be a better starter. He could cave as a reliever. You don't know, but a lot of guys have done it. Papelbon, Smoltz. I mean, a lot of guys have made the conversion that were hard guys. I mean, and Velasquez has the same makeup as a Smoltz and a Papelbon back in his day. Hard stuff.
I want to play a game with you. I'm going to give you a name from the Phillies. You tell me, will they still be a Philly in 3 weeks?
All right.
By August 15th, okay?
Yep.
We'll start where we kind of finished. Hellickson.
No.
I agree. Cameron Rupp.
Yes.
Carlos Ruiz.
Yes.
Really? You think both catchers stay?
Yep. I don't think they bring up Alfaro till next year.
I agree with that, but I think one of them goes and Knapp comes up.
Maybe. I just don't think they can deal with as many players.
I feel
I think
like
there's a limit to their deal.
I feel like there's enough teams out there that need catching help.
Well, one move's about to go down. Talk about your Indians.
Yeah,
they're about to make a deal for Jonathan Lucroy.
Right,
I mean, that's real close.
But I mean,
happening.
you also have the Dodgers and the Pirates that both need catching help as well.
I don't get rid of Cameron Rupp.
And I'm okay with that.
Not yet. I mean, because this is the way I look at it. You're going to give me more names that are probably going to go, so I'm saying they all can't go. So I'll have to say they keep Rupp.
Okay. Cesar Hernandez.
As soon as he stays, or he's staying for right now.
Peter Borges.
He's gone.
I think he's gone.
I think he's gone
I do too.
for nothing. Too, a bag of balls.
I don't know.
I mean, they might get like some low-level 19-year-old kid in the Gulf Coast League, but they're not going to get anything really in return for Peter Borges. He's just a guy that they help it. He's a bench guy. He'll go somewhere and be a bench guy. That's what you're getting rid of him for to make a team deeper.
Okay. Here's an interesting name for you. Hector Neris.
Neris could go, but I don't think he's the one who goes in the bullpen.
David Hernandez.
Hernandez could go, but I think it's Gomez that goes.
I think it's both of them actually. I think it's Hernandez.
So you think there's 4 moves coming at the deadline, or before it? You think there's 4 moves, or think, maybe 5?
I think in the next 10 days, you're looking at Hellickson, Borges, Gomez, Hernandez, and one of the catchers. So I think there's 5 coming.
Well, then you can't you can't get all back prospects.
No, I mean, you're going to have to get back at least 2 guys for the Major League roster.
Because you're going to have to be creative. Because you're getting rid of relievers. So in like a Borges trade, you're going to have to get back relievers.
Back relievers, right.
So you know what I mean? So that's where we're going to have to be creative. What, the fact that you think 5 guys are going, good for you. Because that's a lot of cell phone talking. Right? I mean, listen, if they can get rid of all 5 of them guys, I'm all for it. But I think it's more realistic that they get rid of 2 or 3.
No, and that's fine.
I
mean,
hope they can. Because it just creates more openings.
I just think it is the very stereotypical good players on a bad team playing their way into a better situation at the trade deadline.
Oh, fair enough. I hope that's the case. I hope they do play themselves into a trade situation because we can get something in return for guys who stink. I mean, you want to call it how it is. I mean, none of these guys are worthy of top prospects. They're guys. So if you're getting rid of them to bring up kids, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily in a hurry to move any of them, but I do think that they're going to go.
Borges and Ashley, I'm in a big-time hurry. Big time.
Well, that's because you want to clear the corner outfield spot.
Listen. I'll let Goodell play left. I want no parts of Cody Ashley on this baseball team. I want him as far away as possible.
You are preaching to the choir.
So far away, please. The people that get hyped up about him, it's just mind-boggling. I'll go Goodell.
But Tommy, he's the next coming of Chase Utley.
Yeah, quick swing, short swing to the ball. Way better. He's a pro freaking baseball player.
6 foot left-hand white guy with a short swing. Must be the next coming of Chase Utley.
Like, I'll go Goodell.
I like Goodell.
Herrera and Williams for right now until I have another outfielder ready, which is most likely going to be Roman Quinn as your next one.
Actually, the next one you're probably going to get is Aaron Altera,
which
is fine.
Well, yeah, which is okay. But, there's so much out there. That's the thing. It's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Now, me personally, I'd have no problem with them going Nick Williams in left, Herrera in center, and Altera in right with Tyler Goodell as your number 4.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, too. I'm all right with that. I have no issues. I think we broke down all the freaking Phillies.
Yeah.
We broke down the Eagles. If you're just joining us, we're wrapping up here in a minute. But if you're just joining us, you can go ahead and still vote.
So think back on our birthday here. Favorite episodes. You got any that ring a bell for you that were real good episodes in your mind?
Well,
I got a few.
Well, I think the one we were just talking about. I think the Cole Hamels one. When it was really heating up.
That was strong.
And we were talking about
it was like our second episode,
and
too.
And all we did was just talk baseball the entire episode. It was like almost an hour and a half, 2 hours. Just baseball.
I think that's when we knew there was a problem here.
Then we knew we could just talk anything baseball, no matter when it was.
You just roll the baseball out between us and go.
That's all it was. But that was my favorite because, one, we were real close on our return.
Oh, no doubt.
We were right there on our return, and we just had a blast that night, and it was almost bittersweet because we were losing, and we both felt this from being diehards. We were losing one of our guys.
Yeah.
But we knew.
And he had just thrown the no-hitter.
And I was conflicted. I told you. Part of me said, no, hold on to him. Let him be the guy that had the kids. I was really conflicted about it. But at the end of the day, he's doing well in Texas. But it was a deal that had to be made.
Yeah.
You?
Wow. There's actually several. I mean, the first 2 that we did, I thought we couldn't have come out of the gate any hotter. The Eagles 5 episode and then the Cole Hamels episode. I thought the Larry Gaines tournament episode over in Camden that we did was a riot. Sitting there in the middle of a conversation.
Forgot about that one. Damn.
In the middle of a conversation, watching a guy go up and throw down with 2 hands.
It's like, oh.
The
great one.
The Doug Peterson episode was great. I think what I really liked about that, and you and I talked a little bit about this off the air, was how we started just peeling the layers of that onion back and kind of digging into the inner workings of their front office. And I think we had landed on their personnel guy, and we were like, maybe it's Jaws. And then all of a sudden, like a week later, they weren't hiring a personnel guy anymore. I think we spoiled their party.
We might have spoiled their party. Jaws might have had enough going over at Valley Brook and said no, or NFL Films where he's watching game tape.
But I also like the fact that it doesn't just have to be Philly stuff. Like, we did that episode on Nick Saban that I thought was killer.
Yeah.
That was a great time. We have had a lot of fun. Absolutely.
We've gone all over. We've gone national. We've stayed local. We've done a little bit of all in this year.
Yeah, and, mean, we've had a lot of fun too. I mean, take it back, last year on the Friday of Labor Day weekend, rolling down to Wildwood and calling a Conwell League football game.
Yeah.
We had Conwell League in football, Conwell League in basketball. You know, we've done some. I've come over and helped you guys out at your alma mater over there at Audubon.
Yeah.
We've done a few things. Some Legends Tap appearances, some Philly Sports Bar appearances. The NFL draft or the fantasy draft show with our NFL preview at Philly Sports Bar.
That was fun.
That was a good time.
That was fun. We'll
I'm never letting you help me draft a fantasy football team again.
You shouldn't. If I'm part of your squad, you're losing. It's just I just throw effing money around. It's disgusting.
Meanwhile, the host of Fantasy Dominance now is sitting across the table from us like, what about me? Use me.
No, I'm not.
I'll use you up.
I'm not. I got finagled into a leg that was pitcher heavy. I'm not happy.
No.
Yeah, there you go. Just keep me out of it.
Absolutely not.
I'm
not fronting the money for a 500 team. It's not happening.
500 team. Yeah. Well, I'll keep you under 500. Don't worry about that.
But no, man, it's been a real fun year. I mean, it went fast.
They do.
Went real fast.
They always do. But no, it's been a blast, brother.
Absolutely.
Cheers to another freaking year.
My man.
Freaking success. It's been a blast of a show. We like to thank Gibson Mayer, who's been with us this whole year. Gibson Mayer, LLC, your certified public accountant.
We got our producers. Here, trivia question for you. Who produced show number 1 for us? This is the only time he produced for us. Be Andrew Kind.
Wow.
Andrew Kind produced show number 1. We had Matt Sinsuti. We got Rob Povia, the producers, on the ones and twos, doing a good job for us. What you looking at, boss?
No, I'm getting Wilson's upset because we talked about Lucroy, and he said he was going to say that on our show that Lucroy would be the first guy traded. He's in talks with Cleveland, so I guess he was going to say that Sunday if we did a show. So he didn't get a chance to say. Well, Brian,
I didn't say it.
We give you, we'll agree that you were going to report that before ESPN did. So we'll say if we went on Sunday that you would have reported that, buddy. So we'll give them.
All right.
That's all. That's it. We'll also thank BMW Atlantic City. This month, BMW Atlantic City, they challenge their sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save right now. Lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive. Just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW Atlantic City. Easy to get to. Minutes off exit 37 of the Parkway. Online at bmwatlanticcity.com. Michael?
To finish up, let me give you a little something here because I know you were kind of on top of this last week. Dario Saric. Guy lost a lot of money coming over to play for the Sixers this year, and I don't want to pee on everybody's, internal fire because everybody's so happy to have him here. I think he's going to be a good player. It's not even a question in my mind. But given the call them the circumstances, world politics, whatever you want to call it, stuff that happened over in Turkey last week, do you find it to be any way coincidental that he got on a plane and he rolled out of there like on Wednesday and then literally their government gets overthrown the next day?
Yes. And I don't think he came over to save the city of Philadelphia in basketball. I think he came over to get out of there because if the guy said he wasn't coming, I told you he wasn't coming, and I don't think for them circumstances he would never came because he could have got an extra ton more money the following year.
Well,
so it just didn't make sense for him to come.
To me, and I think Dario Saric's father has some inside sources in the government over there that basically said if you can get your kid out of the country, you do it now. And he was gone. Next day, he was gone.
Going real quick. So, that could be a part of it.
So, yeah. And what's interesting is I'm doing a little bit, a little homework on this topic. And Bob Ford, everybody knows Bob Ford from, Boston Globe, worldwide leader, the whole deal. Real respected basketball writer. I want to say it was about a month ago. mentioned something as a footnote in an article that just said if you're a Sixers fan, keep an eye on the political situation in Turkey. Could have a lot to do with whether Dario Saric comes over or not. So, hey.
Oh, and it did.
Who knows?
And it did. Well, listen, great 1 year to another one.
Absolutely.
For Tom Renone. That's Michael Mataraki. This is Tom.
Mike.
AM.
In the PM.
Right here, HUDRadio.com. We'll see you next Wednesday. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your week. Go Eagles.
Peace.